In the land that worships freedom of the world of Teyvat, Mondstadt's military force is known as the Knights of Favonius, split into 10 companies in order to better support their people. The first company of the Knights of Favonius is something I know absolutely nothing about, other than that Hines is its field officer. The second company of the Knights of Favonius, I also know absolutely nothing about, other than the fact that it is headed by Captain No. The third company of the Knights of Favonius, belonging to Captain Skiron, according to Nania, is the backbone responsible for maintaining the front lines, and the largest unit of the Knights by headcount. The operations of the Third Company do not rely on the individual value of any Knight, but rather on tactics, discipline, and coordination between various arms. There are many duties inside of the Third Corps, anywhere from light infantry to heavy cavalry, including newer units who have muskets. The fourth company of the Knights of Favonius is the Reconnaissance Company, headed by Ula, who often goes into the wilderness of Mondstadt in order to perform reconnaissance, alongside keeping an eye on approaching enemies or strange phenomenon. The fifth company, with an unknown captain, with Vice Captain Lohan accompanying Varka on his expedition to Nordkrai, where after dealing with the wild hunt threat, portions of the company are returning to Mondstadt alongside Samus Pegg, the father of Barbara and Jean. The sixth company of the Knights of Favonius is the Logistics Company, headed by Hertha. No, not that one. The logistics company's work includes the charter and administration of the baggage train, resource management, and record keeping. They are currently gathering help for potential missions for the Knights, such as dealing with dangerous monsters or the troubles of Mondstadt citizens in exchange for some surplus of resources. The seventh company, Combined Arms, is a temporary designation integrating a balance of ranged and melee firepower. According to Fiona, the company is expected to be headed by Commander Frederick Galanter, who served as the number 2 of the expeditionary force until she was ordered back to Mondstadt's Dorman port. The eighth company of the Knights of Favonius, according to the Luna 4 new Knights of Favonius NPC Winfred, is responsible for a variety of battle support operations, such as for ranged weapons used by the 5th Corps and the latest offensive structure. Winfred states that Albedo and Lisa have been a great help to the 8th Company, but Albedo belongs to the investigation team, and the other doesn't want to head a company. This is the company that Nymph and Lisa fought over in one of Lisa's character stories. But here enough. The ninth company of the Knights is the one belonging to Captain Kaya, the cavalry captain. All of the members of the company, except for Kaya, went on Vaku's expedition to gather intelligence about the Abyss. There is also the Investigation Corps, this company led by Captain Albedo. The company provides the Knights with inventions to help aid their endeavors and investigate strange phenomenon. They've been known to utilize sophisticated alchemical technology for reconnaissance. Finally, this takes us to the Outriders of the Knights of Favonius. They are an additional group headed by their only member Amber, appearing to be the archers and scouts of the Knights. A subdivision established and originally led by Amber's grandfather, trained in a style of archery and use of wind gliders. However, after her father's abrupt disappearance, the Outriders lost their discipline, whilst rumors that Amber's grandfather had defected from the Knights spread. Eventually, Amber was the last remaining Outrider of the Knights of Favonius. Hold up a moment. Did you know that when the Her Plus Lyric YouTube channel reaches 300 subscribers per year, the S&P and Minecraft Lyric experience will unlock? Well, now you do, so press that red button. As we circle into talking more about the character of Amber, one of the best characters in Genshin Impact, I would like to introduce you to a concept that lazy people use. You now may be asking, Lyric, what are you talking about? Well, it's such a simple thing. I am, of course, referring to reusing assets. Just to save time, and since I have a 10-minute video of one of my friends, Wanda, narrating Amber's entire character story, instead of just re-narrating that again, I'm just gonna play that video on the screen now.
Amber is an outrider of the Knights of Favonius. In an age where outriders are becoming obsolete, she continues on with her responsibilities. It takes a newcomer only a few days to feel right at home with this passionate girl. There's before the Go Hunter signboard, the banks of Cider Lake, or the treetops at Windrise, one can find traces of this vigilant outrider in red anywhere. Once spotted by her, no suspicious individual can ever escape her interrogations. From a young age, Amber has always had boundless energy and a positive outlook on life. Each day, she burns with a fiery enthusiasm that sees her go about her life like a whirlwind, smashing through any obstacle that stands her way. Her excessive energy can make her quite the troublemaker. Needless to say, she was quite a handful when she was young. Her infamous deeds include dropping a bird's nest on her grandpa's head while trying to steal the eggs from it, and setting a dandruff slime leaf on fire, causing it to scurry about like a wild animal. These minor offenses gained her some notoriety among the hunters' camps. Somehow, Amber was always able to escape the scene of the crime whenever she caused an accident, and not even a veteran outrider could catch up with her. Invariably, it was Amber's grandpa who ended up on damage control duty each time his granddaughter's misbehavior caused yet another accident. To Amber, her grandpa's silent, unconditional love was like a warm breeze that wrapped around her like a blanket. She knew that it was because of this love that he accepted her and took responsibility for her deeds, and she embraced it silently. But it was only on that day that her grandpa resigned from the Knights of Favonius that she finally understood the full extent of the responsibilities he had bore all those years. Amber's grandpa was once the leader of a mercenary group. He came from Leon Harbor and was tasked with protecting the merchant caravans as they traversed Pivot. One day, on a routine escort job, the caravan fell prey to a savage monster attack. He was the only survivor, saved by a doctor from the Knights of Favonius. Too ashamed to return home and anxious to repay the debt, Amber's grandpa joined the Knights of Favonius. Before long, he single-handedly found the Outriders, trained each one of them personally, and began leading them on missions. It also wasn't long before he found love in the foreign land of Mondstadt and started a family. Years later, Amber was born into that family. During the day, she would crouch by the window and secretly watch him training the Outriders. At night, she would sneak into the yard and practice the moves he had taught that day. Amber's grandpa was touched by her enthusiasm and decided to teach her everything he knew. When Mondstadt accepted me, it became my homeland. Then I decided to watch over this new home of mine. Maybe one day you'll inherit this responsibility. Huh. But then, who knows what the future holds? As the coarse skin of her grandpa's palm rubbed against her head, a bewildered but earnest Amber nodded energetically in response. Something happened one day, 4 years ago, that profoundly changed Amber. That day, her grandpa left his coat of arms and sword in his office and simply disappeared, leaving no notes and telling no one he was leaving. He had been the beating heart and the backbone of the Outrider division, and without his leadership they rapidly became undisciplined and lost their edge. A few failed operations later, the Outrider division was facing obsolescence. In the end, it was preserved as a part of the Knights organization, but in name only. Experienced members either transferred to another detachment or resigned, and so a few Outriders state that they simply do not have enough people to fulfill their daily patrol duties. On top of this, rumors that Amber's grandpa have defected made recovery even more difficult for the struggling Outrider division. Amber personally experienced this entire episode, having just admitted to the Outriders before it all began. With the decline of her squad, she experienced true loss and disappointment for the first time in her life. No longer her carefree former self, she was filled with a new determination. She was going to grow up and become a true Outrider as quickly as possible, no matter what it took. She had never made a natural plan before, and lacked the maturity to know where to start. But what she did have was confidence and courage, and lots of it. She wanted to show she had inherited her grandpa's determination, and she wanted to find out where he had gone. But more importantly, she wanted to inherit her grandpa's former line, and become a loyal protector of her homeland. Life in the Knights of Favonius was not easy for Amber at the beginning. Being as young as she was, and having just lived through the trauma of losing her grandpa, the senior knights made a point of taking special care of her. However, for a girl as desperate to excel as she was, being taken care of by others implied that she wasn't yet mature enough to stand on her own 2 feet. Accordingly, she voraciously sought out extra responsibilities and made this as visible as possible to her seniors. Finally, during an intense engagement with some monsters, the seniors noticed her bravery and resourcefulness in the heat of the battle. That was the moment where they realized that their little girl was growing up. As she matured, she also became more at ease with herself. Whatever feedback she met with, be it praise, rebuke, silence, or taunting, her response was always the same. For sure, I may still have a long way to go before I catch up with my seniors. But one day, I'm going to be the best outrider ever. Amber is not prone to too much deliberation, preferring instead to speak her mind truthfully and frankly at every occasion. She firmly believes that she will not disappoint her grandpa. Today, Amber is still the firecracker she always was, burning with endless passion and energy. Now that she's all grown up, Amber holds firm to her grandpa's teaching as she spreads her wind glider wings and watches over the city of freedom with an eye of an eagle and the cautious cunning of a bunny rabbit. The Crimson Knight is known throughout Mondstadt. The people are delighted to see the mischievous little girl they remember growing up to be a guardian they can rely on. Never fear, Outrider Amber is here. Her self-confidence is simply unshakable. I'm Outrider Amber, the one and only Outrider, which makes me the best one out there. Amber doesn't make writing a daily diary a habit, only expecting to write special or memorable events down in her journal. I finally caught that magical bird. It's called Remy something. I don't remember, but I've been chasing it for 3 days. And I've only been able to sit down for a proper meal today. That magical bird was a cunning one, already in the thick forest like that. Good thing I didn't give up. Best of all, Master Jean gave me a special permission to pluck a feather plum from it as my reward. Hee hee. I'll wear it at my side every single day. I'm sure I followed the cookbook to the letter, and grill the meat for 6 minutes. But while the outside is charring, the inside isn't cooked yet. Did I not control the heat properly? But I am really hungry, so I'll have to try again tomorrow. One day I'll make the best steak, and I'll call it the Outrider's Champion Steak. I met a Streamlander today. I was suspicious at first, but as it turned out, this Outlander is both reliable and capable. Come to think of it, what would I do if an enemy that strong showed up? I mustn't fall behind. I must train harder. Amber once believed that if she took on her grandpa's post, she will understand why he left Mondstadt. However, even when she officially became an outrider, she was no closer to unraveling the mystery behind his wordless departure. Her grandpa had left nothing for her to find, either, indicating that she would have to forge her own path. Amber floundered for a while, until she flipped through an old book of fables that she would eventually come to treasure. What you lacked was not wind, but courage. It is courage that has allowed you to become the first flying birds of this world. Amber realized that she shouldn't wait for directions from somebody else, but that she should be like those courageous birds that spread their wings and flew into the blue skies. There must be something that only I can do. There must be. The moment she realized this, A vision began to shine brightly at her hip.
That's all well and good and interesting, but now I'm sure you're wondering what I'm wondering. You have the 10 captains of the Knights of Favonius. Well, we can infer at least 5 of these captains. We can do this using the art conquest paralogicism, where there is the captain-only trial taking place inside of a church of Favonius. The captains present are Kaya, Albedo, Ula, Nert, and Skirion. As for the other 5 captains of the Knights of Favonius, this is where things truly begin to get tricky. In Monster Reputation quest, we meet Hertha, who as previously mentioned, is another captain for the Knights of Favonius, bringing our grand total up to 6. The 5th company of the Knights of Favonius has a vice captain. However, it is unknown whether this is counted in the official captain count by Quartermaster Kaya. Amber, being the only member of her own division, could mean she goes either way. Is she a captain of the Knights of Favonius, or is the Outrider just an Outrider? To circle back to the Art Conquest paralogicism, we can take no, not the guy, the word, that the only people present inside of Albedo's trial are the captains of the Knights of Favonius, key witnesses, and members of the High Favonius Order. Amber was not among these individuals, and was also kept in the dark, as mentioned during the regroup after the crisis began from the original Durin. Though these answers merely lead me and you to having more questions. Since Amber does not appear to count as a captain of the Knights of Favonius, how come Albedo does if they both run specialized companies? Or has Albedo actually been a company through this whole time? But that can't be possible because Nurse was the investigation company one. Oh, God. Wait, so Lyric, are you saying that she counts a captain or?
Not really.